Okay, so I've tried out pitching up this one half side of the Polish Army Lavvu or Palatka tent. This is a poncho tent. I've put one half side of it up in a very unusual manner. I've not seen anyone do this kind of rigging up of it yet. So I do hope this is a first for YouTube, but hey, I'm not going to go and pretend like I invented everything. So if anyone's ever done this before, good on you. Would love to give you credit for that if you have. So you pitch up a ridgeline, pretty tight, pretty taut, as tight as you can. And then I've got it connected to the ridgeline with prusik knots over there, and then paracord running to those two eyelets. And then I have the center one running down. I've got two pegs in the ground over there, simply because in a windy situation I don't think one peg would hold it up that much, because it's really taut, this design. I'm just wrapping up a stealth urban overnighter wild camp session that I just had, where I pitched this exact same Lavvu. I pitched it as a tarp over my hammock. That went pretty well, so I'm just wrapping that up, and I just thought of this unusual way to put it up, so I just want to share it with you, with the world. So stick around, I'm going to give you a good walk around of the benefits of this one-man setup. If you didn't mind keeping your gear outside, you could actually have a child in there, a small child with you, like a 4-year-old toddler maybe, but that would be kind of at a push, extreme kind of survival situation. My apologies if you can hear the highway in the background. Like I said, this is an urban stealth wild camp session that I had, so I'm really close to a major highway outside of London, UK. But I just wanted to get the good footage in while we have the good weather going on at the moment. We're heading towards autumn soon, and it's still pretty warm out. Front side, we'll come back to that in a minute. I'm estimating the height to here is roughly 1 meter. Let's do the walk around. Sideways it's actually really skinny. There are only two negatives that I feel towards this setup. Only two possible negatives. One of them is you will need tent pegs. I'm estimating 8 to 10 tent pegs, purely because, like I said, I prefer, it felt to me like one tent peg on the front over there, on the guy line on the front, could have either gotten bent, or with wind could have been blown to one side. So I'm putting two. I put them in crisscross at an angle, so that one's going that direction, one's going that direction, but then they meet at the top. So you fold that little rope around there, and that should kind of be really nice and taut, as it is. The other downside is purely based on the person. So if you are unfortunately unable to judge the weather and where the rain may possibly come, at what angle the rain may come. So here in the United Kingdom, the rain can sometimes blow, not at a 45-degree angle, but it does quite often come at quite a high angle. So this could be quite a negative if you are particularly going for this shelter configuration instead of the traditional half shelter going up in a half teepee shape. Then this is a whole lot more covered than that system, totally far more covered than that, and gives you roughly about the same amount of room in reality. The only issue is if that's what you're trying to achieve, then pretty much, and the rain is coming at an angle like here, that's the other negative, is just that you are the one who needs to be sure. So if you're in a woodland, then that's fine. You know, rain doesn't hit you at an angle, or it hits you straight down due to the trees. So those are the only two things that I can find negative about this. One of the positives is the more tent pegs you bring, the more space you give yourself on the inside. Now the great thing about this is, obviously, that's the back of the tent. That's the part that should be on the ground, and this is the top. Now you don't have grommets or eyelets along here. However, because the poncho is designed to have storm flaps everywhere, there are buttonholes on both sides. So the more pegs you have, the more you can pull it out, the more taut you can make it. On this side I only used one peg there, one there, and then I've tied a ball on the end there, put a piece of wood inside there, and roped that to one side. On this side I've put 2 pegs, just to give you a comparison. So I've pulled that out, it's quite taut there, goes there, and then goes to the last peg. So 2 in the center. Here, there's only 1. So you can get a whole lot more room out of that. Another thing that you might note is that because it's the other way around, the storm flaps are facing up. So if you had extreme weather, this would be catching water in there. Now it's not a problem because there's the other part of the storm flap. It's like triple layered pretty much. But what I would do in this scenario is unbutton these guys, tuck them in underneath, and you're sorted. Any rain, any snowfall coming down, will go straight off of that. Plus you'll have a little window you can quickly open up and have a look if someone's coming, or just to check if the sun is rising and whatnot. Tie that guy off pretty strong onto the tree over there. It's a long ridgeline, so I have a lot of excess over there. But you definitely need a really strong, because this is canvas material. If you don't own a Lavvu already, then you won't understand how heavy these guys are. This is a Polish Army. This one I think is dated 1978, and they're still going at a decent rate, so you should actually buy these things while they're not too expensive. Now this is a size 1 Lavvu. They come in 3 sizes. I believe the large one is the size 3, and that is 195 centimeters. And I think that means once they've erected the tent, then they measure from one point to another. So let's say the door flap to the back, which would be the other door flap of the other side of the poncho. Now I'm just under 6 foot in height, and I fit pretty comfortably in here. Yes, my feet are touching the end, but there's no risk of them kind of going underneath. They're just touching. So when you lie sideways, you don't feel that. There's easily enough room over there for, let's say, a 30-liter rucksack, and then other sundries on the left and the right of that. That's definitely possible. There's definitely that space over here as well. So you could always just leave your rucksack here, maybe with some kind of water protection on it. And then in extreme weather conditions, you could push yourself further back and then have the rucksack just in front of you over here, possibly preventing some water from, might splash on your rucksack, but from reaching in there. Other positives is because you've used the guy line, you can now hang multiple items internally underneath the guy line. So here I've got a candle lantern. I can slide that to wherever I want it. So right now I'm just keeping it out so you can see it, but if I want to be a bit more stealth, slide it in there. Further down, won't be as noticeable, at least to the helicopters. Yeah, Lavvu owners worldwide. It's a group on Facebook. Take a look. They've got my Laplander saw. I also recommend getting a couple of these things. I think it's just called an S-clip, but I actually just found this one. You can go to lighting shops and get these, I think, because quite often chandeliers and stuff hang on things like this. So get a couple of these things, and then, you know, loads of stuff to hang, or just make one out of a branch or whatever, you know. If you're into your bushcraft, that's what you should do, really. Still have space on the ends for other things. Now, one of the cool things is these extra pieces of canvas are placed inside this tent, because this tent is actually a poncho meant to be worn by a soldier, you know, serving the Polish armed forces, and these are actually the armholes. So it's quite a clever system, a poncho that can be turned into a tent. So that, in my opinion, is an extra layer, and this is the internal of the poncho, which means that sits on your shoulders. So obviously if you're marching through the snow and it's snowing on your shoulders and you're kind of getting possibly a bit wet or just cold penetration, at least you've got that extra layer. Now these now work as pockets. So here's my Mora knife. You can load it with stuff pretty much. I've just got the little pack for the tent pegs in there. You could throw loads of stuff in there really. There's the stuff sack for my sleeping bag. It's very, very versatile. So this is part one of the series. I have a few other ideas on how to set up a Lavvu in alternative methods, alternative ways, different configurations. One or two of them might be quite unique, like no one else may have done it, or at least no one else has put it online. It'll be interesting to hear your opinion. Do you like this setup? And at the same time, have you seen this before? I just kind of thought of it now because I'm not pressed for time. I don't have to run home after my wild camp session, so I thought I'd just experiment around. I'm kind of bored pitching always in the same positions and everything. I've got two Lavvus, a size 3 and a size 1. This is the size 1. Like I said, I'm under 6 feet long, and the size 1 is the smallest size, obviously, and I'm fitting absolutely fine in there, no worries whatsoever. So the size 3 would give you, I think 15 to 30 more centimeters, correct me if I'm wrong. And you can buy these as singles or as entire tents. Another thing, another positive really, if you made your ridgeline a lot lower, then you'll be able to get more space in there, obviously. Obviously for the heavier expected weather conditions. That to me is pretty comfortable. You could sit up in there and eat your food, chilling up, sitting on your sleeping bag. So it all depends on you how you want to set it up. But definitely if heavy storm kind of weather is expected and this is the only shelter that you have, then I'd take it a lot lower and you'd actually be able to, you'd be able to get in a bit further deeper. That's something I'll show in the future. I think if I camp, I'm very likely going to set it up exactly like this. However, I'll have maybe the guy line set down another 20 centimeters or so on each side and see how that goes. So I will do that in the future. Just look out for that video. I do appreciate my channel is still low on subscribers, so give the channel a chance, hit that button and especially the bell notification so you can see what I load up in the future. The Polish Army Lavvu, or Palatka as it's known in Poland, you can get it folded up just like this. Just leave a few small guy lines on it, tied into loops, and you'll figure out a way to be able to tie it up nice and tight, put it in your rucksack pretty easily, or even tie it at the bottom. So versatile, man. Get one.